The sun was sinking behind the old corner store when Emma stopped walking. Light spilled across the cracked pavement. The air felt warm, but something inside her felt cold and heavy. She was only 8, small, quiet, carrying the weight of a life much bigger than she was. Her backpack hung open at the side. Its zipper had broken weeks ago. She kept it together with a safety pin and hope. Inside her pocket were $8. 8 single bills she had saved for 3 long weeks. Bottles returned, gardens watered, a few coins from her grandmother's trembling hand. This money was everything she had. Tonight, she planned to buy bread, milk, maybe a little peanut butter, something to help her grandmother through another hard week. Her stomach growled, but she ignored it. She was used to hunger. Before she reached the door, she heard a voice inside the store. Deep, rough, tired. The tone made her freeze. She stepped closer. The door was cracked open, and the store lights cast a sharp yellow glow across the floor. A man stood at the counter. Huge, broad shoulders, arms covered in tattoos, a leather vest with patches, and on the back, in bold letters, the name everyone feared. Hell's Angels. Emma stayed still. Most people crossed the street when they saw men like him, but she did not move away. The man spoke again. "Sir, I lost my wallet on the road. I have not eaten in 2 days. Please. Anything to eat. I will pay you tomorrow." Mr. Miller, the store owner, shook his head. No credit, no exceptions. The biker lowered his eyes. Not angry, not loud, just tired. So tired that Emma felt the heaviness in her own chest. He turned to leave, moving like a man carrying the world. As he passed the aisle, he paused. Emma was standing there, clutching her backpack, staring at him with wide, unsure eyes. For a moment, they simply looked at each other. A hungry child, a hungry man, both pretending they were stronger than they felt. Emma took a small step forward. She reached into her pocket. Her hands shook, but her voice did not. "Here, take this. It is for food." The entire store went silent. The biker frowned gently. "Kid, I cannot take your money." Emma lifted the bills higher. "You are hungry. My grandmother says we help people when we can." Mr. Miller spoke softly from behind the counter. "Emma, are you sure?" She nodded. "He needs it more than me." The biker blinked. His eyes softened in a way Emma never expected. He knelt down slowly until he was closer to her height. "What is your name?" "Emma." "Emma," he said quietly. "Is this all you have?" She nodded again. "My grandma and I will be fine. We still have soup." His jaw tightened. Not in anger, in something deeper, something like pain. He took the money as if it were something precious. "Thank you, Emma. I will never forget this." He bought a sandwich and a bottle of water. Then, without a word, he added bread, milk, and peanut butter to the counter. The first 2 items were for him. The rest were for her. Emma stared in confusion. "This was your money." He shook his head. "I only need enough to keep walking." "You take care of your grandma." He handed her the grocery bag. His large hands were gentle, careful. Then he stepped outside into the fading light. Emma watched him from the doorway. He walked toward the road, eating slowly, each bite full of exhaustion. She thought that was the end, but as the man reached the corner, he stopped, pulled a small phone from his vest, dialed a number. His voice was low but full of emotion. "Johnny, you will not believe what just happened. A little girl gave me her last $8. Then he said something Emma could not hear, something that would change her life forever." He turned the corner and disappeared. Emma clutched the grocery bag to her chest. Good things come back, Grandma always said. Emma did not know it yet, but tomorrow morning, the street outside her building would shake. 50 roaring engines would fill the block, and every single one of them would come for her. Emma woke, before the sun. Her stomach was empty, but her mind was full. She kept thinking about the biker from yesterday, his tired eyes, his gentle voice, his promise she did not really understand. She slipped out of bed quietly so she would not wake her grandmother. The apartment was cold. The air smelled like old paint and damp walls. Emma wrapped her sweater tighter around her small body. She made breakfast with the food he had bought. Bread, peanut butter, a small glass of milk. It felt like a feast to her. Her grandmother entered the kitchen with slow steps. Good morning, sweetheart. Morning, Grandma. Agnes smiled when she saw the plate. You used the groceries the man gave you. Emma nodded. He was hungry. I helped him. He helped us back. Agnes sat down, her face softening. Kindness always returns. You did well yesterday. Emma wanted to ask more about the biker, about his life, about why people feared men like him. But she did not want to worry her grandmother. Before she could take another bite, the apartment began to shake, not gently, not quietly. A deep rumble rolled through the walls. The windows trembled. The dishes in the cupboard clinked together. Emma froze. Grandma. Agnes looked alarmed. What is that? The rumble grew louder, heavier, like thunder rolling down the street. Emma ran to the window and pushed aside the curtain. Her breath caught. Grandma. Come look. Agnes stood beside her and pressed a hand to her chest. Oh my goodness. The street was full of motorcycles. Not one or two, dozens. Massive Harleys lined up from one end of the block to the other. Engines running. Chrome shining under the early sun. Leather vests, heavy boots, patches on every back, Hell's Angels. People opened their windows in shock. Others closed their curtains in fear. But the bikers did not move. They stood in formation, calm, silent, waiting. Then Emma saw him. The man from the store. Bear. He stood at the front of the group, hands in his pockets, looking straight up at her window. Emma stepped back in disbelief. He came back, Agnes whispered. Why are they here? Before Emma could answer, a loud knock shook their door. Not angry, not rushed, but strong and steady. Bear's voice came through the door. Mrs. Chen, it's Bear. May we speak with you? Agnes hesitated for a moment, then opened the door slowly. Bear filled the doorway, like a wall of leather and muscle. But his face was gentle. Ma'am, your granddaughter did something for me yesterday that I will never forget. Agnes held Emma close. She helped you because you needed help. Bear nodded. And now, it is our turn. Emma stepped forward. Why are there so many of you? Bear smiled. Because what you did reached all of us. I told the club last night. I told them how a little girl gave me her last $8. I told them how someone with nothing still chose to give. More bikers filled the hallway behind him, men, women, all quiet, all watching Emma with respect. Sandra, a woman with silver streaks in her hair, stepped forward. Emma, we wanted to come today to thank you. Properly. Emma blinked. I did not do anything special. Bear knelt in front of her. Yes, you did. You saw a hungry man, not a patch, not a reputation, not a rumor, just a man. Agnes wiped her eyes. What does that mean for us? Bear stood up. It means you are not alone anymore. Before Emma could speak, one of the bikers leaned in and whispered something to Bear. Bear's expression changed, serious, sharp, focused. He turned toward the stairs. "Stay inside, all of you." Emma felt fear rise in her chest. What is wrong? Bear looked back at her. Someone followed us here. Someone who should not be anywhere near you. The engines outside suddenly went silent. The street became still. Something dangerous was waiting below, and Emma felt the change in the air. The calm before trouble. The moment before everything would shift again. The hallway felt colder than before. Emma could feel it in her chest. A quiet warning. A silent pull of fear that she did not fully understand. Bear moved toward the apartment door with a tense jaw and steady breath. Sandra followed him. 3 senior bikers stepped behind them, forming a solid line. Emma stood beside her grandmother in the living room. Her hands were shaking. "Grandma, is something bad happening?" Agnes held her close. "I do not know, sweetheart. Stay near me." Another knock hit the door. This one sharper, heavier, different from Bear's steady patience. Bear raised his hand. "No one opens the door except me." He pulled the lock slowly and opened the door only halfway. A tall man stood on the other side. Not a biker, not a neighbor, not anyone Emma had ever seen. He wore a dark coat. His face was narrow. His eyes were cold. He looked like someone who was used to getting what he wanted. Bear did not move aside. "Who are you?" The man answered with a flat tone. "I am here for the girl." Emma felt her heart stop for a moment. Bear stepped forward until the hallway seemed too small to hold him. "Wrong answer. Try again." The man tilted his head. "The little girl from the store, the one who caused trouble yesterday." Sandra glared at him. "How did you find this place?" The man ignored her. "That child cost my partner money. I want what is owed." Agnes gasped. "You want money from an 8-year-old?" The man nodded once, without shame. "Debt is debt." Bear leaned in closer. "She saved a hungry man. That is not debt. That is kindness." The man shrugged. "Not my concern. She pays, or someone pays for her." The bikers behind Bear shifted their weight. Not angry, not loud, just ready. Emma felt her knees weaken. "Grandma, why does he want me?" Agnes held her tighter. "Do not answer him, Emma." Bear exhaled slowly. "She is a child. You walk away now, or you will regret standing at this door." The man smiled a thin smile. "I do not walk away from money. And I do not walk away from orders." Sandra stepped forward. "Orders from who?" He did not respond. Instead, he reached into his coat. Emma felt a rush of fear. Her breath trembled. Bear's hand moved fast, ready to protect her. But the man did not pull out a weapon. He pulled out a small leather notebook. He opened it and held it up with 2 fingers. Names, amounts, threats written in angry ink. He pointed at one name with a slow motion. "This is the girl. The one who interfered." Bear's voice dropped lower. "You keep a book of people you scare into paying you." The man nodded. "It works well." Sandra shook her head. "You came to a child's home. That is a line you should never cross." The man spoke again. "She will pay. You cannot stop that." Bear stepped forward until he was inches from the man. "We can. And we will." The man's voice sharpened. "I will be back." Bear shook his head. "No. You will not." He pulled the notebook from the man's hand and snapped it shut. "Your business is done here." For the first time, the man's cold expression cracked. He stepped back. He looked at the hallway full of bikers, but he still spoke boldly. "This is not finished." He turned to leave. Before he reached the stairs, another voice echoed up from outside. "Bear, you need to see this." A young biker rushed into the hallway with worry on his face. There was a black van circling the block. No plates. 3 men inside. They looked up at the windows. Bear's eyes darkened. He turned toward Emma. You stay inside. You stay behind us. No matter what. Emma swallowed hard. Are they coming for me? Bear nodded once. Yes, and they will never touch you. Not while we are here. The engines outside started again, louder than before, angrier, protective. Emma felt the vibration through the floor. Trouble was coming, closer, stronger, and this time, it was coming straight for her. The moment Emma heard the engines rise, she knew something was wrong. The sound was deeper than before, heavier, like the entire road was holding its breath. Bear stepped away from the door and motioned for the senior bikers to spread out. Their boots hit the floor with steady rhythm. No panic, only purpose. Sandra stayed close to Emma and Agnes. Sandra looked at Emma. Stay behind me. Do not move unless I tell you. Emma nodded. Her hands were shaking, but she tried to hold them still. Bear turned toward the stairs. Everyone stay alert. Something is coming. The hallway fell silent. Then the front door of the building opened. Not slowly, not violently, just with a heavy certainty. One of the younger bikers rushed up the stairs. Bear. The van stopped in front of the building. 3 men stepped out, masks, dark clothes. They keep looking at the windows. Bear's voice was calm. Block the entrance. No one gets in. The bikers moved like a trained wave, down the stairs, into position. Emma clung to her grandmother. Grandma, they are coming for me. Agnes kissed her forehead. You are safe. Do you hear me? But Emma did not feel safe. She felt small. Too small for all this danger. Bear looked back at her. Emma, listen to me. She lifted her eyes toward him. You are not alone. Not today. Not ever. Sandra placed a hand on Emma's shoulder. We fight for family here. And you are family. Then footsteps echoed from below. Slow, measured, confident. The masked men entered the building. Emma could not see them, but she felt the change in the air. Something cold. Something wrong. Bear lowered his voice. They did not come for money. They came for the girl. Sandra frowned. Who would send people after a child? Before Bear could answer, the first masked man stepped into view at the base of the stairs. He scanned the hallway. His eyes stopped on Emma. He took 1 step forward. The angels took 10 toward him. Bear spoke first. Turn around. Leave now. The man raised his chin. We take the girl. That is all. Sandra shook her head. You picked the wrong building. The man did not hesitate. Orders are orders. Emma felt her chest tighten. Another voice came from the stairs, the second masked man, then the third. All 3 faced the wall of bikers. Bear squared his shoulders. You will not touch her. The lead masked man pulled a phone from his pocket and raised it. He showed a message on the screen. Bring the girl. Do not fail. Bear's jaw clenched. Someone sent them. Someone who thought Emma was alone and defenseless. Sandra whispered to Bear. They planned this. They followed us here. Bear nodded. Then they made a mistake. He stepped down 1 stair, then another. His voice carried through the tight hallway. You do not walk into a child's home. You do not threaten her. You do not think she is unprotected, not while we stand here. The masked man smirked. Move. You cannot stop all of us. Bear took 1 more step. We do not need to stop all of you. The engines outside roared again, loud, sharp, ready. Sandra smiled without warmth. We only need to stop you. The lead masked man reached for something inside his jacket. Emma tensed. Bear raised his voice. Stop! Do not pull anything out. The man ignored him. He pulled out a small black device. Bear froze. Not a weapon. Something else. something that changed everything. The man held it up, a tracker, a location beacon, the same kind used to mark a target. He pointed directly at Emma. Found her! Emma felt her breath break. Bear moved fast. Give me that. The man pulled back. Too late. Multiple names flashed on the screen. Multiple signals. Multiple groups moving toward their location. Sandra whispered. There are more coming. Bear looked at the tracker. His voice dropped. This is bigger than we thought. He turned back toward Emma. Stay behind us. No matter what. Because now they were not dealing with one enemy. They were dealing with many. And they were all coming for her. The hallway pulsed with tension. The tracker in the masked man's hand glowed with a single red signal. Emma's signal. Her exact location. Bear crushed the device under his boot, but everyone knew it was too late. Whoever wanted Emma now had her coordinates. More danger was on the way. Sandra whispered to Bear, We need to move her. This place is not safe. Bear nodded. But we do not run. We move together. All of us. Before they could form a plan, someone shouted from outside. Bear. There is a man at the gate. He is asking for the girl. Every biker stiffened. Another threat. Another stranger. Bear stepped toward the stairs. Keep Emma behind you. No one talks to her unless I say so. Sandra held Emma close. Do not be afraid. We are right here. Emma felt her heart pounding. She could not breathe properly. Why were so many people after her? What did they want? Agnes touched her cheek. Stay with me, sweetheart. The angels moved down the stairs in tight formation. Emma and Agnes followed behind Sandra, staying close, protected inside the wall of leather and muscle. When they reached the bottom, the front door was open. A man stood on the sidewalk, not masked, not armed, not dressed like any of the others. His clothes were worn. His hair was messy. He looked like someone who had been searching for a long time without rest. He lifted his hand slowly. I am not here to hurt anyone. Bear blocked the doorway. Then why are you here? The man swallowed hard. I am looking for Emma. Sandra's hand tightened on Emma's shoulder. Why? The man lowered his head. Because she is my daughter. The world froze for a moment. Emma's breath caught. She stared at him, unsure if she heard correctly. Agnes gasped. That is not possible. The man nodded. I know this looks strange. I know I am a stranger to her. But I have been trying to find her for years. Bear spoke sharply. Explain yourself. Now. The man reached into his coat carefully. He pulled out an old envelope. Edges worn. Papers inside bent from time. Emma's mother left this behind before she disappeared. It had your address. It had Emma's name. Sandra looked at him closely. Why did you never come before? The man's voice broke. Because I thought she died. Her mother told me Emma was gone. She told me there had been an accident. Emma felt a sharp ache in her chest. Then why come now? The man took a shaky breath. Because I found her mother's old storage unit. Inside, it was this envelope. It was the first real clue I ever had. I came as soon as I could. The angels exchanged looks. Their suspicion did not fade, but something in the man's eyes felt honest, broken, painful. The man knelt down slowly. Emma, you do not have to believe me. You do not owe me anything. But I never stopped looking for you. Not once. Emma stepped back, overwhelmed. Bear placed a gentle hand on her back. Take your time. You do not need to decide anything now. But the moment was shattered by a sudden shout from outside. Bear. The van is back, and they are not alone. Engines roared down the street. Dark cars followed the van. Doors opened. More men stepped out, masked, focused, moving with purpose. Sandra whispered. They sent reinforcements. Bear clenched his fists. They want the girl. They want her now. He turned to the bikers. Positions. Do not let them inside. The angels surged forward and formed a wall across the entrance. Emma watched them through the door. Away, 50 bikers, facing down an army of strangers. Bear looked at Emma with steady eyes. You stay behind us. You stay with the people who love you. You stay with family. Emma swallowed hard. Why do they want me? Sandra answered softly. Because they think no one will fight for you. But they were wrong. The masked men stepped forward. The angels held their ground. Engines thundered behind them as more Harleys rolled into place. The street shook. The air tightened. The moment hovered on the edge of violence. Bear lifted his arm. Stand ready. Emma felt her grandmother pull her close. Her father stood beside her now, his voice trembling. I will not let them take you. Emma looked at him. At Bear, at Sandra, at the dozens of angels forming a shield around her. For the first time, she understood something important. She was not alone, not anymore. But the men outside did not care. They pointed toward her. Bring the girl. The angels took one step forward. The fight for Emma had begun. The street fell into a deep silence. A silence so sharp that Emma could hear her own breath. 50 Hell's Angels stood in front of the building. 3 masked men faced them with growing fear. More shadows moved behind the van, more danger coming closer. Bear stepped forward. His boots hit the pavement with slow, steady force. His voice was low, controlled, and cold. You do not touch this child. You do not take her. You do not walk past us. The lead masked man lifted his chin. We have orders. Bear shook his head. So do we. The engines behind the angels roared to life. Every biker lifted their stance. Their leather cuts swayed in the wind. Their presence swallowed the entire street. Sandra spoke next. Her voice was firm. Turn around. Walk away. You are outnumbered. The man did not move. She is marked. She belongs to us. Bear's tone sharpened. She belongs to no one. And she is not alone. The man reached inside his jacket. The angels tensed. He pulled out another small device, another tracker. Emma's heart clenched. Her father whispered, they wanted her all along. The man raised the device. Bring the girl, or this does not end. Bear took one final step forward. Then it ends here. He raised his arm sharply. Now. The angels moved as one, clean, precise, controlled. They did not attack wildly. They surrounded the masked men in a circle so tight they could not move. One biker kicked the tracker out of the man's hand. Another grabbed his wrist. Another restrained him with perfect coordination. Within seconds, all 3 masked men were on the ground. Pinned, disarmed, defeated. The van door slammed open. 2 more men tried to run, but 5 Harleys blocked the road. Steel, chrome, engines ready. The men froze. Sandra stepped toward them. It is over. At that moment, Marshal Rebecca arrived with 2 officers. Her badge flashed under the light. Step aside. We will take it from here. Bear nodded. They are all yours. The officers cuffed the men quickly. The masked men shouted. They tried to blame each other. They tried to blame the debt collector. They tried to blame Emma. Rebecca shook her head. A child cannot cause this. Your greed did. When the men were taken away, the street finally began to breathe again. Bear walked back to Emma and knelt down. You are safe now. Emma looked at him with wide, tired eyes. Why did they want me? Sandra answered softly. Because they thought you were an easy target, someone with no one to protect her. Emma looked around, at the bikers, at the engines, at the people who stood like a wall around her. She shook her head. I am not alone. Her father stepped closer. Emma, I am sorry you had to go through this. I am sorry for all the years I missed, but I promise you this. I will stay if you let me. Emma looked at him, then nodded slowly. I want that. Agnes wiped her tears. You have a family now. More than one. Bear stood up and called out to the angels. Bring it out. 2 bikers carried a small leather vest. Black. Shiny. Beautiful. Bear handed it to Emma. For your courage. For your kindness. For your heart. Emma held the vest against her chest, her eyes filled with quiet wonder. The back of the vest had silver letters. Honorary Angel. Emma. Sandra placed her hand on Emma's shoulder. This is who we are. We protect the ones who protect others, and you protected Bear when no one else did. Emma smiled gently. I only wanted to help. Bear nodded. And that simple choice changed everything. The angels lined up on their bikes, engines rumbled, lights glowed, the entire street seemed to shine. Bear lifted Emma into his arms and carried her toward the sidewalk. He looked at her grandmother. We will check on you every week. You are family now. Agnes nodded with gratitude. Thank you for everything. The angels revved their engines one last time, loud and full of promise. A sound of loyalty, a sound of protection. Emma whispered into the wind. Grandma was right. Good things come back. And 50 angels rode away, leaving behind a promise that would never break.